Good morning, everyone. Tiffany Quinn here, and this is our lower body strength and mobility workout. In today's routine, I'll be helping you improve your hip flexion and strengthen your glutes and hamstrings with a combined dumbbell strength and mobility training. The only three things you'll be needing for today's workout include a lower body set of dumbbells. I will be using my 15-pound weights for reference, but of course use what's suitable for you. You'll also be needing two other items. This includes a resistance band, which we'll be using for support during our hip flexion sequence, and this can also be substituted using a rolled up towel or t-shirt. The second item is a yoga block. This is an optional piece of equipment, but keep in mind you can also substitute using a pillow, and this item will be used for support of our head during our side lying hip rotations. Now smash that thumbs up button for me, subscribe to the channel for a new routine every week, and let's go ahead and get into it. What's up, everyone? Welcome to our lower body strength and mobility workout. Now we actually have an even split between our mobility drills and our strength training for the glutes and hamstrings today. So our first half of the workout will be focused specifically on hip flexion and increasing your range of motion there. Now for this, we've got our timer set for 60 seconds work with no specific rest between. And once we've gotten through 7 minutes per side of our mobility drills, that's when we switch the timer and we move to the glutes and hamstring strength training with dumbbells. And for that, our timer will be set for 45 seconds work with a 15-second rest between. So we are going to start off with a hip warm-up. And for that, I'd like you to come down to your mat and bring yourself into a side lying position. Now, if you do have the yoga block, we're simply going to use this as support of our head as we come into those side lying rotations. Otherwise, you can also use a pillow or opt to go without. So coming down to your side, before I start the timer, there are a few things I'd like you to remember. We want to keep the hips stacked throughout, not allowing them to tip forward or tip back. The only thing we're mobilizing through is the hip joint. So you're going to extend the bottom arm, now take the top arm and punch it down towards the floor, relaxing the head and pulling full body tension, all right? So we want everything nice and still with the exception of our hip joint. In 3, in 2, in 1. As we have that leg at hip level, we're going to flex the hip forward towards the chest, come out wide into abduction, internal rotation at the hip, adduct down, we're going to come forward, donkey kick back without extending at the lower back, external rotation into abduction, come forward as you adduct down and extend. The entire way through trying to fight for more range of motion and staying in a pain-free range of motion throughout. So open wide, internal rotation, adduct down towards the midline, stack forward, donkey kick back, external rotation, fight for more hip flexion at the top as you bring it down into adduction and extend. One more here into hip flexion, abduct away, internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, kick back, open wide, last rep, make it your best one, extend and quickly switch over to that other side. All right, so same thing, let's stack those hips. Top arm punches down, lift the top leg to hip level, hip flexion, abduct away from the body, internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, kick back, external rotation, fight for hip flexion as you adduct down and extend. Bringing it up, open wide, fight for more range of motion, internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, kick back into extension, external rotation, adduct down and extend. Last one, come forward, open wide, internally rotate, adduct down, stack forward, kick back, open wide, adduct down, fight for hip flexion and extend. Okay, you can move that yoga block out of the way. And from here, we'll be needing a light resistance band. You can also use a long band or a rolled up towel or a t-shirt. So before we go into our first passive stretch, there's something I need you to keep in mind and be aware of. So if I was to show you a posterior and anterior rotation of the pelvic bones, our posterior rotation is tucking those hips forward. There is a tendency to want to do this when we come into our lying position. The position we want to hold today is a tilt back into anterior rotation where you have that small arch, okay? That's going to be more true to hip flexion. So come into a lying position for me. Relax the head down, have that band nearby. Now we're going to anteriorly rotate the hips, forming that gap between you and the mat. This is going to make it harder to bring our leg into flexion, which is exactly what we want. So you're going to actively take the left leg, flexing that foot and holding that interior arch, and bring it towards the ceiling as high as you can in that active stretch. From here, we're going to take that t-shirt or band and place it above the foot, holding that anterior tilt. Now drive it a little bit higher if you can. Now relax that leg, still holding that anterior tilt, and try to bring yourself into a bit more range of motion. And this is where we're going to hold our passive stretch. The entire way through, even as you're relaxing that leg, I want you to hold that interior arch, having that gap between you and the mat. So from here, we have a minute and 30 seconds to hold our passive stretch. I'd like you to just relax into it. And I'm going to explain to you our P.A.I.L.S and R.A.I.L.S contraction. So for this stretch, we are going to apply directional input to our isolated hold here. So on our first contraction, and mind you, we want to build this up, slowly increasing the intensity to your greatest and safest effort before we switch into R.A.I.L.S, which is going to be our quicker contraction. So on our P.A.I.L.S contraction, we're going to tense that leg and hold the band strong as we drive the heel down towards the floor for about 10 seconds. On our R.A.I.L.S contraction, we're going the opposite direction. So you're going to loosen that band, still holding tension in the leg, and we're going to try to lift it towards the ceiling even higher. Again, holding that anterior tilt throughout. So you have another 40 seconds, about 30 seconds before we go into our first P.A.I.L.S contraction. So breathing in, breathing out through the mouth. Get yourself ready. We're going into our first P.A.I.L.S contraction in about 10 seconds. So remember, holding that anterior arch throughout. You want to have those hips rotated backwards and take a 4-second inhale through the nose. As you exhale, I want you to pull together full body tension. Now straighten and tense that leg and start driving down towards the mat into our P.A.I.L.S contraction, squeezing the hamstrings, holding that anterior tilt for 4, 3, 2, on 1, you're going to relax your hands a bit and you're going to start to drive that leg towards the ceiling, still holding that arch. As much as you can, fight for a little bit more. For 4, 3, 2, on 1, hold that band tight again, relax the leg, and try to bring yourself a little bit higher into that passive stretch. All right, great job. So that is our first contraction, and we have one more drill of P.A.I.L.S and R.A.I.L.S. And we'll be doing this in the next 20 seconds, so just relax in that new range. The leg is relaxed, you're still holding the anterior arch, the band is held tight with the hands. So on our P.A.I.L.S contraction, we are utilizing the band with our hands and staying active in our arms, whereas the R.A.I.L.S, we're gonna kind of release that tension a bit. All right, take a 4-second inhale through the nose. As you exhale, I want you to slowly start driving that heel towards the ground into our P.A.I.L.S contraction, squeezing the hamstrings, straightening out the leg, building up to your greatest and safest effort for 3, for 2, on 1, relax the hands and drive that leg up towards the ceiling, coming into hip flexion, working the anterior hip flexor, holding that interior arch. Keep driving that leg higher for 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the leg and grab a hold of that band. We're gonna hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and you can remove that band and gently, slowly allow that leg to float towards the floor. All right, going over to that other side now. So again, we're going to hold that anterior arch. We're going to raise that leg into our active stretchability. Now take that band and place it around the foot. Relax the leg and then try to bring yourself up a little bit higher, still holding that gap. So if you wanted to roll a penny below you, you would have that gap there, okay? And from here, we just hold our passive stretch. 2 P.A.I.L.S and R.A.I.L.S drills, and then we go into our back offs or lift offs, which are going to help us extend that range of motion just a little bit more. 1.5 minute hold. Again, you're relaxing the leg and the hips are tilted back. It does feel a little bit funny at first, but this is going to help us increase flexion. So if I was to flatten my back down on the mat, you would see that my leg is a lot easier to bring up, whereas if I'm keeping that arch, it's going to be a little bit harder. I'm not going to be able to bring it as high. Okay. 4-second inhale through the nose, 8-second exhale through the mouth. Overriding the nervous system here. Holding tight on that band. I know it can be a bit taxing for the arms, but we are almost through it. And just enjoying it. If you want, you can even close your eyes, just listen to my voice, do what works best for you. We have our first P.A.I.L.S contraction in about 20 seconds here. Hold that tilt for me. Don't let it go. We don't want our back to come flat to the mat. Feels nice, especially if you have tighter hamstrings. This is gonna help not only strengthen it, but loosen up the knots back there. Okay, from here I'd like you to take your 4-second inhale through the nose. As we exhale, I want you to pull tension throughout your entire body. Everything stays where it is. Hold tight on that band. Now tense the leg and start driving that heel down towards the floor into our first P.A.I.L.S contraction. Keep driving down, squeezing the hamstring. For another 5, 4, fight for more, gradually building up that intensity. On 1, release tension on that band and drive the leg up towards the ceiling, still holding that anterior arch. Keep driving up. Keep driving up, a little bit higher if you can. Fight for it for 3, for 2. On 1, you can relax the leg and hold tension on that band. Now try to bring the leg a little bit higher, increasing that passive stretch, coming to end range. Great job. Okay, you've got another 15 seconds here. Then we've got our second P.A.I.L.S and R.A.I.L.S, and then we go into our lift-offs. Okay, start taking that 4-second inhale through the nose, pull full body tension. Now tense the leg up. As you exhale, start slowly, gradually building up tension, pressing the heel down towards the floor, squeezing the hamstring. Another 5, another 4, 3, 2, on 1, release tension on the band with the arms. Keep that leg straight, keep the anterior tilt, and try to drive that leg towards the ceiling into your R.A.I.L.S contraction. Staying in a pain-free range, but fighting for more the entire way through. Hold that tilt for 3, for 2, for 1. All right, you can relax that leg for another 5 seconds, and then we're gonna remove that band in 2, in 1. When you remove that band, gently, slowly allow the leg to float down towards the mat. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, we're gonna work the opposite side of the one you were just working. You don't necessarily have to hold that anterior arch here, but we do want the hips in a straight line. We're gonna bring the left leg actively into hip flexion and interlock the fingers behind the thighs. Now relax the leg and drive that knee a little bit higher. We're gonna tense the leg back up, flex the foot, and we're going to back the hands off and hold exactly where you brought it to for 3, for 2, for 1, back on, relax the leg, bring that knee higher. Now tense the leg, release the hands, hold 3, hold 2, hold 1. We've got 2 more here. Back on, relax the leg, draw that knee higher, tense the leg, hold it exactly where it is, back off for 3, for 2, for 1, interlock the hands, relax the leg, drive it as high as you can. Staying in that pain-free range, now tense the leg. Last one, we hold a little bit longer. Extend those arms out to the side, hold 3, 2, when I tell you to come down, it's nice and slow. In 1, slowly allow that leg to fall, keeping the bend in the knee, back to the mat, and extend over to that other side. So actively bring that leg into flexion, interlock the hands behind the thigh, relax the leg, draw that knee higher. Now tense and back off for 3, for 2, for 1. You're fighting for flexion the entire way through. Back on, relax, bring the knee higher, tense the leg, flex the foot, back off for 3, 2, 1, back on, relax the foot, bring that knee higher. Now flex, back off for 3, 2, 1. Last time, hands interlock, relax the foot, bring that knee even higher. Now really fight for that flexion, hold tension in that leg, back off for 5, 4, 3, keep fighting, 2. When I tell you to come down, it's nice and slow on 1. Slowly allow that leg to fall, keeping that bend in the knee. All the way down and extend. Okay, so that is our mobility drill for flexion today. We do want to retrain the nervous system at a lower intensity with our side-lying hip cars. So we're coming back into our starting position. And after we've gotten through that, then we switch to our strength training. So that yoga block can come below the head. This time we are going to go straight leg with it. And you can extend that bottom arm long, punch the top hand down. We've got 3 reps on both sides. And we're gonna lift that top leg up and flex the foot. Remember, you wanna keep those hips stacked in alignment, so you don't wanna come this way or that way. In 1, we're going to keep that leg straight as we drive forward into hip flexion, open wide, internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, kick back, don't overcompensate at the lower back, external rotation all the way up. Fight for more hip flexion as you come down and extend. Into flexion forward, open wide, take your time here. Internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, kick back, external rotation, working through that hip joint, trying to feel each new range of motion, and extend. Last time, bring it forward, open wide, internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, kick back, open wide into external. Try to come a little bit further forward if you can, all the way down, extend and lower the leg over to that other side. And then after this, we get to switch our timer and you do get a quick break, okay? So the hand comes in front once again, stack those hips, make sure they're nice in alignment. Lift that top leg up, in 2, in 1, pull together full body tension, nothing else is moving, come into hip flexion, open wide, internal rotation, adduct down. You might find that one side is a little bit easier than the other. Stack forward, donkey kick back into extension, external rotation, adduct down, and extend. 2 more. Go as slow as you need to, everything at your own cadence, trying to keep the same pace throughout. Internal rotation, adduct down, come forward, kick it back, external rotation, and it might be a much smaller range of motion than what I'm performing. That is okay. These adaptations will happen over time. Last one, forward. Try to make this your best rep. Internal rotation, lower down, stack forward, externally rotate as you bring that leg back up into flexion. Fight for a bit more range of motion here, and extend and lower down. Okay, now those of you who are just getting into strength training, you may want to stop the video at this point and come back to the strength training on the following day if you are a beginner. If you're a bit more advanced and you do feel strong in the hips, then we will move on to our dumbbell strength training. So I will leave that up to you to decide. We've got 45 seconds on and 15 seconds rest. And I'd also just suggest not going with your heaviest weights today. I'll be using my 15s. This is about half my usual weight that I would use, okay? So our first exercise today, we've got 2 circuits to do at 4 minutes each, repeated 1 time through. So our first focus is going to be the glutes and a little bit of quads, grabbing a hold of 1 dumbbell to start. We're bringing the feet into a narrow stance. The weight is coming to chest center, elbows in line with the thighs. We come down into a goblet squat and raise. You can also hold it vertically like so. All right, going in 3, get yourself ready, in 2, in 1, 45 seconds on, 15 seconds rest, come down into that goblet squat, feet are face forward and up. Should be feeling pretty good in the hips right now. Though I will say they can start to get a bit tender if you're not used to these exercises, which is why I suggest coming back to the second half of this the following day. slowly down, and up. Slowly down, up through the quads. Breathing throughout, taking your time. Moderate weights today. 2 more reps here, and up. Last one. Bring it up and take the feet nice and wide for me. So feet are facing out at about a 30 to 45 degree angle, and we do want to be wider than hip width distance. That weight can be held low or at center, coming into our sumo squats and raising up. In 2, in 1. Like you're sitting into a chair, facing straight ahead, the back is straight, the core is tight. And if you've noticed, I am wearing a hoodie today because the studio is actually quite chilly. And I think this is the first time that I've been wearing a jacket down here. Like, that's how cold it is. All right, knees are coming wide and lifting up through the heels, through the glutes, through the inner thighs. And up. Slowly down and up. And up. Spending more time on the eccentric motion coming down. 2 more for me. Last one, lower that weight and come up to standing. Our next exercise is going to be a dead stop lunge. So we are slowing down that eccentric portion of the exercise even more so by stopping at the bottom. So left leg forward, right leg back, grab a hold of both weights, come down, slowly, gently allow your knee to touch the mat, stop at the bottom, and lift through that front heel. Slowly down, dead stop, and up. This does take some patience. You'll definitely feel it in those glutes. Back is staying straight, we're facing straight ahead. And the knee is staying behind the toe on that front leg. Taking everything at your own pace. It's only 8 minutes per circuit today, which I do think will go by pretty quickly. One more on this side for me. Lift up, and we can go over to that other side. So the right leg forward this time. Slowing down that eccentric. You don't want to bang your knees to the mat. You want to take it slow. In 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower down, dead stop, and raise to that front leg. Pressing up through the hip. You're coming up and squeezing that glute at the top. Slowly down, dead stop, and raise. This actually feels quite nice after that warm-up in comparison. The hip cars are kind of a game changer, and so are the pelvic tilts. Slowly down, dead stop, back up. Let's try to get 3 more reps in. 2 more reps, last one, let's kill that timer off. Bring it back up and go back to that single weight. Okay, going back to our goblet squats. Again, the feet are parallel. The knees are parallel. We're coming down in that nice straight line. In 2, in 1. Elbows in line with the thighs and raise right here. What you don't want to do is lurch forward. So we don't want to see this. Your chest should not be in front of your knees. Keep everything nice and aligned and come up to the quads and the heels. Breathing throughout. No rush today. No rush whatsoever. We're just progressively overloading to strengthen what we just worked on. And raise. And raise. 2 more. And up. Last one. Bring it up and take that weight to the center with the legs nice and wide. 3 more exercises for this circuit. Just repeating what we've just gone through. And then we work into the hamstrings. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead into our sumo squat. Trying to come as low as you can. And lifting back up. If you want, you can even add a pause at the bottom, make things a little more challenging. And back up. 1, 2, pause, and slowly up. Slowly up. Feel the glutes work up. Feel the quads light up. Enjoy the burn. And up, another 2. And up, last one. We're gonna pause for 3, 2, 1, and lift it up. Back to our lunges, this time step lunges. So I'm gonna use one weight for this. If you'd like, you can still stick with both, not a problem. Going in 4, starting on the left side, 3, 2, and 1. Stepping back and back up towards the front. And up. Driving up through that front leg. Squeezing the glute and squeezing that quad on your way up. I really like lunges because I do feel that they have more demand on the glutes and the hamstrings as opposed to standard squats. So they are a good one to know. Even if they're a bit challenging in the beginning, maybe even the first 3 years they're challenging, they do get easier. One more. Lift up. If you can, get one more rep in there. Over to the other side, then straight to hamstrings. How are we feeling? Whew. I'm feeling a little sweaty. This might have to come off soon. You know what? It's coming off. Over to that other side. In 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Step it back and step back up. You can use the arms for balance. You can have them at your side. You can also have the dumbbell on the shoulder. Not a problem. Do what feels best for you. There are specific form cues for things that do help you get better results, and it helps with technique. But then there's also options. This is one of those options. This will require a bit more core activation. So you're bracing that core tight if the weight is up high, and you're doing the same if it's low. Last 2. Last one. Lift it up. 15 seconds. Our final circuit, only 8 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and grab both of our weights now for our narrow deadlifts. Whew. All right, great job. So we are hip distance apart with the feet, grabbing a hold of both weights, coming down, painting down the front of the legs, as low as you can with your hip rotation, and slowly up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you want to stop here where your hip rotation ends, meaning if you start to feel that the back is arching, and it does help to film yourself, that's where you want to come out from before you get to that point. Hinging forward with the upper body and pushing the booty out and away from you. Feeling the stretch in the hamstrings and contracting the back of the legs as you come up. Last one, lift it up. And now we combine a bit of our hamstrings with the quads. So the weights stay in front for our deadlift. Coming up, bring the weights to the side, into our quad squat, and up. Try not to touch the thighs as you come down. In 2, in 1. Bring it to the front, slowly up, weights to the side, slowly down, and raise through the quads. 1, 2. If you'd like, you can hold the weights like so, tap them to the floor and back up. That's kind of a new favorite of mine. So how do we feel about the hip mobility drills? I personally really like them, and it does help balance out a lot of uneven areas, so to speak. And it will help improve your squats and your lunges because you'll be able to disassociate the pelvic bones from the lower back. Last one. One more side squat, dumbbells to the side squat, suitcase squat technically. And you can lower both weights down. We're gonna grab a hold of one weight only for our next one. And we're balancing on the left leg to start. So we're gonna take that right leg back, going into our single leg deadlift. As you come up, the right leg steps out to the side, keeping the back straight and bringing the dumbbell across the body. Still performing a deadlift, adding a bit more variety to it. Trying to light up those hamstrings. Flexing on the way down through that hip and extending on the way up. Slowly down, slowly up, step it out, come down and back up. 3 more. 3 more full reps. So now it's 2 more, and up, step it out, and up, last one, and up, last step out, even things out, and raise and get ready for that opposite side. 4 more minutes, and then we are complete. And maybe I'll show you one more variation for the hip cars before we go. Going in 5, 4, 3, step it forward. The other leg, you're lifting that heel, balancing on the toes, come down, lift up, cross body deadlift, and raise. Still keeping that back straight. So at no point should you be arching. You don't need to reach too low. The goal is to stretch the hamstring and contract the back of the leg. Slow to come down, slow to step out, separate those movements. 20 seconds left here. I was hyped for this one. I really was. The hip mobility is so huge. And it's what I've been training a lot in personally. So I kept getting tight hamstrings. All right, last one on that side, last step out, and lift, going back to our narrow deadlift, what we started with. But what I've since learned is that if you continuously get sore in one area, it is the body signaling weakness. So we do want to strengthen those areas so that we don't keep running into that. All right, into our narrow deadlift and raise. Last 4 minutes. And raise. Following the eye gaze forward. Keeping a nice straight back line. Head is in line with the neck, in line with the booty. I'm gonna let you focus. You've got 20 seconds. Shoulders are staying back and down, setting the scapula in place, being mindful of the movements that you're making. Nothing is a rush. And raise. Last 2. Last one, and stay with those 2 weights, or you can put them down for that rest. From here, we've got our narrow deadlift into our suitcase squat. Keeping the legs in line with the hips. In 3, 2, 1, coming down into that narrow deadlift, raising up, weights to the side, down, and raise. Feet are facing forward, chest is proud and lifted, shoulders are backing down, you're feeling good, you're feeling strong. You got half of a restful workout and the other half got your heart rate up, right? It was a little bit tricky of a transition actually. Going from mellow, laying on the floor and relaxing in a stretch to dumbbell training. Felt like I was still in my meditation zone, picking up a weight. Okay, 1 more suitcase squat, 1 more narrow deadlift, raise up, and keep one of those weights in hand, the other can come over to the side. Single leg deadlift to our crossbody deadlift. So the back leg, you wanna lift the heel and balance off the toes, but you really don't wanna put too much weight into it. The goal is to use that one leg that we're balancing on. So coming down, up, cross body, back to neutral. Taking your time, looking for that stretch in the hamstring. Now, if you're not quite feeling it in the hamstring, one of the tricks you can use is to slightly lift your toes off the mat. That's gonna help put a little more weight into the heel, which is what we're trying to accomplish. Last 3. Last 2. Last one, come on, finish off strong. Last one to the side, bring it up and over to that other side. Last minute, and then 1 quick cool down, and then we're gonna head out and call it a day. Actually, just got home from work before I filmed this. All right, let's take it away. On that right side, deadlift down, cross body, and up. You don't have to take that weight all the way across. It's a micro crossover, and up. If you want, you could even turn the weight as you do it, maybe experiment a little bit, see how that feels. And up. And up, you've got 20 more seconds. Following that eye gaze forward. Feeling really good about today's. And lift to the side and lift. 2 more reps. Full reps. Finish strong for me. Last one to the side, raise up, and that weight can go over to the side. All right, to finish up, we're gonna come to the wall here. We're gonna place both hands on the wall, trying to keep the hips flat, and we're gonna lift our left hip up into flexion, abduct away from the body, internal rotation, adduct in, external rotation, back towards flexion, and extend into hip flexion, abduct away, internal rotation, adduct in, come forward, donkey kick back, external rotation, into hip flexion, and extend. One more, hip flexion, abduct away, just like we did before. Internal rotation, core is nice and tight. Come forward, donkey kick back, external rotation, fight for hip flexion, and extend. 4 reps either side, bring it up, open wide, internal rotation, bring it in, stack forward, donkey kick back, external rotation, come out wide, to the center and down. Over to the other side. So balance yourself out, squeeze that core tight. In hip flexion on the right, abduct away, internal rotation, keeping the hips in alignment. Adduct down, come forward, donkey kick back, external rotation at the hip, come forward and extend. Hip flexion, abduct away, internal rotation, adduct down, stack forward, donkey kick back, external rotation, adduct in towards the midline, and extend last time into hip flexion. Try to drive for more. Away from the body, internal rotation at the hip, come forward, donkey kick back, external rotation, fight for hip flexion, and extend and shake it out. Great job, everybody. So this was week 3 of our mobility training, and we've combined it with our dumbbell strength. Now, it is normal to feel a bit tender after these exercises for roughly 1 to 2 days. If you are going past the 3 to 4 day point, keep in mind that the intensity was a bit too high and you want to bring it down for next time. We don't want to push past our ability or what we're capable of, because that's only going to set us back. So stay within your range of ability and really work to stay in that pain-free range of motion anytime we do the mobility exercises. All right, everyone, I am definitely ready to head to bed and grab something to eat, so I will see you guys later. Thanks for joining me for today's workout, everyone. Be sure to let me know in the comments if you've been enjoying the mobility sequences and whether or not you feel they've been useful to you. Also, feel free to give me any feedback on things you might like to work on or areas you might need help in, as I can work them into future workouts. Now smash that thumbs up button for me if you did make it all the way through. Subscribe to the channel to support what I do and also to get a new workout every week. And finally, turn your notifications on, because next week we'll be finishing up our February mobility calendar with a core and lumbar strength workout. This one is going to be incredibly useful, especially if you've got tight muscles in the back or a weak core in general. We are going to strengthen that area. All right, everyone, have an amazing day, and I'll see you for the next one.